22nd of August, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura. Hello again, Rabbi.
Good morning again, Lou. Good morning again, Mayor.
Good
We're
morning.
now in our second share, Mishnah Berura, Hilchos Sukkos, Siman Tuf Reish Mem Tet. We started the Mechaber in Siv Vav, and now let's read from the beginning there, and we'll look at the Ramah, and we'll see the Mishnah Berura. We have a few Mishnah Beruras to finish up. Yeah, Mayor, would you like to read?
Okay.
Can't hear you, Mayor.
Okay. Well, I'm not really speaking yet.
No.
I'm just trying to find my place. So we're starting again at Vav.
Beginning of Vav, right?
Oh, okay, okay. So it says B'sha'at hadachach she'ein nimsa kasher. So at a I guess a pressing time,
Right.
one cannot find a kosher lulav. Sulim, note lean, the aim of archim. So all can take a puzzle one, puzzle lulav, no neem, the aim of archim, but not say the bracha. Okay.
Wait, is it all can take, or is it all puzzle ones can be taken?
If you don't find something kosher, all those things which are puzzle under normal circumstances can be taken, but you don't make a bracha on them. Okay, is that clear, Lou?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Note, let's say Num Dalet in the Mishnah before we go further.
Dalet and Mishnah Berura.
Note the name of Oracle.
Okay, hold on. Yud Dalet.
Nun Dalet.
Oh, Nun Dalet. Okay, note leim the ain mevarchim. So he takes it and does not say the bracha. Okay. Note lean afilu biyom rishon. So he takes it even if it's the first day. Kedei shelo tishtachach Torat lulav mi Yisrael. So that he will not forget the way of the lulav from Yisrael.
Well, the Torah, the law of taking a lulav. That we don't have too much of a concept of what this means, because I mean, in general we've had usually a good supply of these things, but in previous generations it was very difficult to find kosher dalet meaning. Very difficult. It was not easy at all, especially if you didn't live in a climate which was conducive to growing esrogim. The esrogim are very sensitive plants and trees, and they grow in very limited climates. Italy, Spain, the Mediterranean countries, and also a lulav coming from a date palm. You don't find many date palms in England or in Polish Russia. You don't find them around too much. So it wasn't very easy to get hold of these things by any means. Matter of fact, I don't know if you know the story, the Klosenberger Rebbe, after the liberation of the concentration camps by the American troops. So President Eisenhower, or he was general then, he was General Eisenhower, met with the Klosenberger Rebbe, and he was so moved by what he saw, that the terrible cruelty and the deathly conditions that the Jews were exposed to in the concentration camps. So General Eisenhower asked the Klosenberger Rebbe, what could he do for his people? What can he do as the general of the American forces do for the Jewish people? And it was around Rosh Hashanah time. So the Klosenberger Rebbe said that he asked that the Air Force deploy one plane to bring Daled Minim to the people who had just come out of the concentration camps. That's what he asked for. So significant was that mitzvah, and you would think of all the things that could have possibly been asked for, but that the Jews that survived concentration camps should have an opportunity to do that mitzvah was very, very dear to the Klosenberger Rebbe, and of course General Eisenhower complied. Famous Meister there, famous Meister. But yeah, because it could be that living under those in those climates and conditions, that it could be years could go by before they would ever have a real kosher set of Daled Minim. Right? So therefore, they made a special dispensation that the puzzle species, that if those things which would normally puzzle them and should not be taken, but in order not to forget the whole concept of taking a lulav and esrog and rabas and hakasim, they made a dispensation that they could be taken even if they were puzzled, but as long as you don't make a bracha on them. Yeah. Okay, let's continue on. That'll bring us to.
We didn't quite finish this, Mr. Berura.
Right, yeah, finish it right. Right.
Ve'ein mevarchim kevan dehu lezecher bi'alma. Okay. And we don't say a blessing over it. Okay. Kevan, since dehu, I guess that what is since it's not kosher.
It's not kosher, and it's only a zeker, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
it's a remembrance of the lulav, I guess.
Right, exactly.
Okay, very good.
Okay, let's start the Ramah now.
So let's see the Ramah. He says, "V'yesh machshirin lulav yavesh afilu levarech alav." So what there are those that what, like, approve or say okay.
There are those that permit, not sure, lulav yavesh.
Permit a dried out lulav. Okay.
Right.
And even say a bracha over it.
Yes,
Oh,
that's a surprising halakha, right? Even to make a
Wow.
bracha on it.
huh. Okay. Okay.
A lulav is-
No, hi-
A lulav is pretty dry normally. What does it mean it's dry?
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's going to be seen over here, but okay, 1 second. If you want to see, what that level of dryness is, I mean, it's almost, you'll see in a moment. I'll direct you to where you should look in a moment. Hold on a second.
Lou, have you ever seen a year-old lulav? That's pretty dry.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I have
Okay,
one.
so let's.
I can go look at it.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, it takes less than a year to dry out, but
Well, kind of gets shriveled up, I guess. It's no longer straight.
Well, I
right.
mean, that's also true, but here, uh, yeah, take a look. I'll show you the halacha exactly. Look in tough Reish Mem Hey, tough Reish Mem Hey. Have to
Tough
go
Reish.
back about 10 pages or so. Tough Reish Mem Hey.
Tough Reish Mem. Hey, okay.
Sif Hey.
Sif Hey. Uh, Lulav. Sheyav Shu. Rove Alav. Is that it?
Right, that's it. Right. Yeah. Mary, do you want to read it, Mary?
It says lulav sheyashvu rov alav puzzle. Oh, shidrato. Oh, okay. So a lulav that's dried out, the majority of it, or its spine.
All of it, meaning its branches, meaning its leaves. You know, the leaves of the lulav basically consists of two types. One is the shedra, the spine. You know, that's the solid piece in the middle. And then you have the on each side you have the leaves of the lulav coming out on each side. So if you have a lulav which a majority of its leaves have been dried out, or its spine is dried out. Go ahead.
Okay. Puzzle. It's not good. Vishiur hayaveshut mi sheyichle mar'eh yarkut shebo v'yalbino fanav. Okay. So what the shiur, the measurement of its dryness, of the dryness.
Right. I mean, how do you assess when it's considered to be dry?
Okay. So Michelle, when it begins to appear Yarkut.
Well, Shiakala, Mara Yarkus. Shiakala, when it finishes or it disappears, Mara Yarkus, when the greenness disappears. Right, Shiakala, right? Shiakala means that it should finish or disappear. Mara is the appearance, Yarakos, the appearance of being green. So when it now no longer appears green, that's considered to be Yavish.
Shabo, Vial, Binu, Fanav. And its face turns white.
Right. The surface is now white. Okay, so that's one criteria for being considered to be Yavish. Right. Well, I'll look at the Ramah here.
V'yeshomrim delo mikre yavesh ella kashet nit parek batziporim. Let's see what the Yeshin. Some say, but it doesn't occur to be dry only when.
No, Mikra, it's not called Mikra, it's not called Yavesh. Yeshom in the low Mikra Yavesh. There are those that say it's not considered, it's not called Yavesh, it's not called dry Ella, except. Go ahead.
Mary, you gotta lean closer, please.
Okay. Geshet nit parech v'tziporen mechamat yiveshuto. Okay. V'chein No,
Okay, so,
hagi.
okay,
Okay.
so what does that mean, right? It's not, there are those that say it's not called dry except is parech v'tziporon machmas yavash asai. So what does that mean? That it crumbles in his spark, it crumbles, right? It crumbles when a fingernail will be rubbing against it because of its dryness.
Oh, okay.
So it has to be so dry that if you run your finger along it, right, it'll crumble, it'll disintegrate underneath the pressure of your fingernail.
Well, that's pretty clear.
Yeah. So yeah, basically you have two criteria. One is that it becomes white, the greenness is left and it becomes white. And according to the Ramah, it's still considered to be not dry as long as it's still intact. But that lulav that you have from last year, providing everything else is proper about it, it's still not dry enough that it would probably dry and come off and crumble underneath your fingernail pressure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, and let's V'kei noigin. It says v'kei noigin b'medinas elu she'ein lulavim mitzvim. And so we are accustomed in our regions. Though he's talking about the northern European countries, which obviously you don't, as I said, you don't find very many palm trees in Poland and Russia, do you, Lou? Not too many palm trees in northern Europe, are there?
I haven't seen any.
Right. Okay.
What is this word mitzvaheen?
Mitzvoim, they're found. They're not she'ein lulavim mitzvoim. They're not the lulavim are common in the European country.
Common. Mhm.
Matsui, something which is matsui. You've heard that expression, something which is matsui, something which is common, frequent.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So that's what's talking about over here. So you see, you have a lot of leeway over here. So that's what he says here. Look back at our Ramah over here in Tough Resh Mem Test. Now that'll be a little more clear what the Ramah is saying over here.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay, Baruch Hashem.
Okay, so the Ramah we're going over.
Yeah, back to Tough Resh Mem Test, back to the Ramah. We'll just read the Ramah again. Start from the Ramah again.
Yesh machshirin lulav yavesh afilu levarech alav. Okay, so they are not kosher, acceptable, I guess. A dried out lulav, even to say the blessing on it.
Right. I mean, again, like we don't have any real concept of how difficult it was to get hold of these things. I mean, I know for example, Rav Scheinberg Zachon Avracha, when he was learning in the Mir in Poland, so it was that if a person would come down with a flu or a cold, so the doctor would prescribe that they should eat oranges, right? Eat oranges. So they would have to go to Berlin by wagon and go to Berlin or Warsaw, the main cities, the main capital cities in Europe there, and try and get oranges from those cities, whereas you could probably, with some, probably a lot of money, get hold of oranges. But locally, it was impossible to get oranges. And esrogim would be probably even more difficult to get hold of. They'd have to send special messengers to say Italy to get the esrogim months and months before Sukkos. I know I heard from the grandson of the Chafetz Chaim, the Herschel Zach, he told me that the Chafetz Chaim himself, that when it came for wine for Pesach, right, wine for Pesach, so you think that they had grapes in Europe? They didn't have, there are no grapes growing in Northern Europe. They grow in France and Spain, Italy, that's where it is. But, so to get back up to Northern Europe, so it's not so easy and not so cheap to get things moving. So the Chafetz Chaim himself had to order a month or so more a kilo of raisins. He would hire somebody special to go to Warsaw, the capital city, and buy a kilo of raisins, and it would make raisin wine for the night of Pesach.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the Chafetz Chaim himself. So you just didn't. Now you walk in. I was in a liquor store last week. You got wines and liquors from all over the world. You go into one liquor store. The Chafetz Chaim never saw so much wine in his life. I can tell you. I can tell you that probably 100%. He never saw so much wine in his life in one place. We don't have any conception of how much gashmis we have at our fingertips. At our fingertips, it's a tremendous bracha. Yeah. Okay, let's continue on. Let's continue with the Ramah.
Okay. So let's see where we left off. Okay, so v'yesh machshirin lulav le'avesh afilu levarech alav. Okay, v'chein nohagin levarech al lulavin yiveshin. Afilu b'diika acherim lachim. Okay, so we were saying what the dried out lulav, we can even say a bracha over, and it's tradition to say, or we're accustomed to saying the blessing on dried out lulavim. Afilu, even the ika acharim lachim. What, even if others are moist?
Right. Even when you have, the minute was that they would make brachas on the dry lulav, even if you have moist ones available. Meaning, because we saw, if you remember, the Mr. Berura mentioned that you can only be, as the Mechaber said, shastechat when she'ein nimsa kosher, shastechat in an emergency where you don't find any kosher meaning, then you can take them but not make a bracha. But here the Ramah is saying when it comes to lulavim, they make a bracha on dry ones, even when you have ones that are moist and fresh and proper. Right?
I don't get that.
Yeah, why? What's the problem?
Well, if you have moist ones, then doesn't that mean it's not shash adchach?
So take a look. The Mr. Berura is addressing your question. Looking in Sifkat Nun Vav, is feel a bit of Ika Acherim Lachim. See where it says what it says there?
Yeah.
Go. Mary, you want to read that there? It says,
Okay.
Tom, what's the reason?
Hatam mishun de are be'aratzot she'ein nimtzaim lulavim lachim gemurim.
So it's referring to places, to regions where you don't find truly moist lulavim, meaning it's when the Ramah, you don't forget the Ramah lived like 500 years ago. Okay, right? That's a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
That's you didn't have your Autobahn, and you didn't have your Euro train, and you didn't have all the conveniences of traveling here and there at you think it was easy to travel from one country to another country 500 years ago? Right?
No, not at all.
Not at all. So even if they would get, and again, there were no lulavim growing in those, in Poland, there were no lulavim growing in Poland. If you wanted to get hold of a lulav, you had to go to Spain, Italy, right? Maybe France, the Riviera, maybe, who knows France, but Spain, basically Spain and Italy, maybe Turkey. You'd have to go to Turkey. You think it was easy to get from Poland to Turkey in those days? What? Yeah, it was crazy. Person, we're talking about 500 years ago, more, right? So even the lulavim that they would cut fresh, it would take, how long do you think it would take to get from Turkey to Poland in 500 years ago? How many days do you think it would take to get, take a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, right? So lulavim have a tendency to dry out very quickly, right? So even the ones they would get would not be completely lach, completely moist. And also the dry ones, as the Mishna says, even the ones that were dry weren't completely dry, right? So neither were the lach.
And also, they didn't have plastic.
No, of course they didn't have plastic. How do you think they seal things up? They wrap them in skins of something, maybe. Who knows? And you don't think that they lost them. If you don't pack them properly, they'll start to mold, right? You're caught between letting them dry out and getting caught for letting them mold. It's not an easy thing to transport these things. Now all these things are kept in refrigeration with plastic around them, and they're kept in refrigeration and all that things. And we have it very easy. Okay, so I don't want to go over time, so we'll continue this tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem. We haven't finished it yet. And we'll review this Ramah, and we'll review the Mishnah Berurahs on this, and you'll see that because of this fact that the lachim, the moist ones weren't really truly lach, and the dry ones weren't truly dry, so therefore there was a permissibility that you could go ahead and make even a bracha on the ones, and it wasn't considered to be shastecha. Sorry, we'll talk about it more tomorrow, Mitzvah Shem.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, very good. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Have a good afternoon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay. Feel good. Refuah shleimah to everyone.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Be well. Thank you.